Yo, guys, welcome back. Another episode here, Kellen Time, and today, as you guessed it, we are taking a look at the Lorier Neptune. This is actually going to be the Series 1, so the very first watch that Lorier released. It's a pretty cool piece. I'm sure you guys have seen it before. It kind of made a splash when it was first released. I think basically because it was all of the familiar things you love in a dive watch while still being a bit of a fresh take on it and not just a homage of this or that or it has its own DNA, yet it's very familiar. So I think that's why it's probably so popular with people. But we can get into it a little bit. Just so you know, this is kind of how it comes in there. A little leather pouch here at the tool. And then a little warranty card. I'll just start off by saying this is the Series 1. So the Series 1 is no longer available. And the only difference between this and the Series 2 that they did is they made the dial a bit bigger in the Series 2 so that it's almost the distance to the bezel. The Series 1, the dial is a bit smaller and it gives it even more of a vintage vibe. So when I was kind of looking for one of these, I was hunting for one. I wanted the black gilt. I'd never had a gilt dial watch before, so I thought, let me give this one a shot. And if I'm going to do it, I kind of, just from pictures, I hadn't seen one in person, but from pictures, I enjoyed the Series 1 a bit more. It had, like I said, it has a bit more of a vintage characteristic to it. The Series 2 that is out now and goes in and out of stock, but definitely I believe they'll still be doing more rounds of releases of it. Still has the same aspects, it's still a minimal kind of retro-ish diver. It's just that it's funny how that dial, when it's a bit larger, gives it a bit different feel. So you can tell it's obviously stainless steel. It has the Seiko NH35 movement in it, with pretty solid movement. This is, again, the black gilt variation. They make just a black and white version with no gilt, and then they make a blue version. It has Super Lumen Nova W9, I believe, in this one, so it does have some nice lume to it. One of the big things that Lorier kind of continues to, now that they've iterated, I believe they have up to 4 different models now, including like the Falcon and a couple others. But one of the things that they continue to pride themselves, maybe not pride themselves in, but continue to stand by is they love putting, and they only put domed or plexiglass crystals. They don't do sapphire. And I kind of enjoy that. They basically say it's because it gives it that kind of vintage charm. If you were to put the same watch right next to it with a sapphire, it does have a little bit different visual characteristic to it. So I kind of like the plexiglass. You can see it's a nice dome to it. The benefits of plexi, obviously, it won't shatter. It will scratch a bit easier, but you can just take some polywatch to that and take it right out. So some people love it, some people hate it. I seem to enjoy it. I have both sapphire and plexi, and they both have their merits, but I kind of like the plexi on this watch. It's 200 meters, water resistant, the size. So it is 38 and a half, and then 48 tip to tip. I will say it wears a bit, it's interesting. It wears a bit bigger than 38 and a half, I think, because it's got some heft to it, and it's a little bit tall. I believe it's 14 and a half tall. But then again, it doesn't wear big because the dial, especially on this variant, the dial is so small that it kind of, I would say it's more similar to like a 40 mil watch to me, with a little bit smaller dial, almost the vibe of like a Doxa without the Doxa case. But you know how Doxas have those smaller dials, if you've ever seen one of those. But the true dimension, again, 38 and a half, 48 mil, and 14. I think it technically is 14.3, what I measured it out to. So just over 14 thick. And then the classic 20 mil lug width, screw down crown, no crown guards, which is kind of fun. Signed Lorier, screw down crown. Again, no crown guards. You can see drilled lugs. And the lugs have a great chamfered to it. So it's got everything you love. You know, no crown guards, big knurled crown here. I guess it's more of a coin edge crown. Super easy to grip. The movement winds super easy, and you can hear that. It's pretty quiet. I've had some NH35s or Seiko movements that are a lot louder. This is no date, just your classic three-hander watch. Yeah, so what else? The bezel is definitely a cleaner look. And the action, again, it's got that coin edge to it. See if I can get that in focus. There you go. The action is I don't want to say gummy, but it's not. I think it's because the bezel is thin and it's got that coin edge. It may just not be the easiest to grip. This would be my one probably downside to the watch. I don't love the bezel action. It's not the worst I've ever felt. It's definitely not the best. But in terms of case design, if you will, with the kind of polish and brush actions there, that flat H-link kind of retro style bracelet, a good clasp that's milled, not stamped. I mean, I don't know, it's got some micro adjustment to it, drilled lugs. This watch, you throw this thing on a NATO too, which I'm a big bracelet guy, but you know, a lot of people love NATOs. You can see that, how it's flat on the top and rounded on the bottom, so you get the comfort and then the look. All stainless brush there, but man, it just has so much charm to it. And for $400, I mean, I think that's what these things are going for, brand new. You can find them used quite a bit, you know, in the 300 range, depending on which variant you're getting. It seems like the black gilt seems to be the most popular, so keep that in mind. But like I said, if you want a new one and you want the version 2 that has a little bit bigger dial, which gives a bit more modernness to it, then you can get it brand new from them. I think in spring 2020 is their next release of this. And then if you want the version 1, you'd have to go find it secondhand somewhere, or maybe someone bought it and kind of held on to it. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a take at this. I've had this now for, I don't know, I'd say a couple months, and almost forgot to do a review on it, but it's one that I really enjoy. I think I got it because I was eyeing the Black Bay, the new Black Bay 58, and I was a little worried about doing a black gilt dial watch because I just have never had one, and I'm not a big fan of gold. I know it's very minimal. But I thought, you know, let me give this, I've always wanted to try the Lorier, so let me find one, give it a shot, wear it around, see if I like it, and then maybe see what happens. And if I like it, then I could go try to find a Black Bay 58. I get it, they're completely different watches, but they have some similarities. They're, you know, retro-ish looking dive watches, black gilt, stainless, all that stuff. So that being said, I think I've actually moved a couple pieces out of my collection, and this has stayed. So I got rid of my Halio Seaforth, and I got rid of a couple other watches. I'll do probably another 2020 state of the collection video, so you guys can see what's come in and what's gone out. But this one has kind of stood the test. It hasn't, the last 2 rounds of getting rid of watches, this one has stayed. So I think it's just the value you get and the style it gives off. It's kind of hard to duplicate this for essentially $400 or less, depending on if you buy it new or used. It's got so much charm. It's a great looking watch. It's kind of timeless. You can do the whole dress it up, dress it down thing. Gilt obviously can give off a bit more dressy vibe. So yeah, great watch. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. Great follow on Instagram. It's a husband and a wife that run the brand. They were former school teachers and just really gave it some, really enjoyed watches and kind of went full steam ahead into making watches. So I'd encourage you guys to check them out. I love it. I enjoy it. It's definitely staying for a little bit. Who knows how long, but it's definitely made the round of cuts. So I think it's a fun watch. Let me know what you guys think, or if you have any questions on it. More than happy to answer any questions. Yeah, I think that's about all I have on this one. Thanks.